We okay? Good. And between you and lunch, I realised that. I'm going to get off here as quickly as possible. Look at these brave souls who sat in the front row. If this was a comedy gig right now, you'd be getting rinsed, but no, I'm fine. I will be doing comedy at the end of the evening, so if you do want to sit in the front row, then by all means do that, because I will rinse you then. This is really going to be difficult to get through 30 minutes without swearing. I'll be quite honest with you. But we'll try and get there eventually. Do people at the back want to come a bit forward, or just, it's just strange, all the gaps in between? Come on, mate, in you come. We're killing time till you got here. Don't worry, sit yourself down. Don't worry about interrupting my presentation, you're fine. You'll be allowed to laugh, by the way. I know this is a corporate event, but it's okay to laugh. You'll be fine. Right, mate? Good man. Get yourself comfortable. We haven't started yet. Good. You're looking at me like I was just give me a stare that said, shut up, you Scouse dickhead, and get on with it. So we will do. Let me just see if this kind of works. I'll introduce me, who I am, what I'm going to talk about. I will keep wandering about. If anybody's got any kind of motion sickness, I apologise for that, but I will keep moving about. I just hate standing still. I'm going to talk about some strategies for improved detection and response. My name, by the way, my name's Ian Murphy, for those of you who don't know. I'm CTO of, let's solve this first issue. Anybody want to take a guess at what the company's name is? Anybody? Go on. Lmntrix, yes, Lmntrix. Did anybody think it was Lmntrix? Some kind of terrible stutter that we've got? No, it's Lmntrix. The story of it, I haven't got a clue. It's probably quite dull. There's no real story behind it. It's got something to do with the founder and his son. And actually, I do know the story. It's the founder and his son. And his son, it was a dance group in a movie somewhere. So apparently we're named after a dance group. Who knew? Who knew? That's weird because I've got 2 left feet as well. So I've got some obligatory. Oh, I see the slide. Oh, that's nice. I don't need to look there. The slides are down there. Look how great is this event? Apart from, it seems like I'm behind enemy lines here with this accent in this stadium. I understand that. If Manchester United get brought to the knees with a virus at the end of today, you'll probably know why, right? Actually, I don't even need to do that. They've already got a virus. It's called the Eric Ten Hag virus. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Do we have United fans in? Give us a cheer. Yeah. Yes. Good. It's unusual for me to come to this venue after we've absolutely annihilated you 3-0. So I'm just gonna lap her up for all it's worth, to be quite honest. I'll be continuing this move so later on in the bar when I will rinse Manchester United properly. So a little bit of an overview of who we are. I've got to do these slides. These are kind of like obligatory slides. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to see it. I get it. I understand it. The big thing I want you to take from this is what we are a managed provider of XDR services. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Why can't we just say we're a managed services provider? So where we were born from, that's more interesting. That's an interesting story about this. You can read that nonsense yourself. Where we were born from, we come from an MSS background, managed security services background. So the CEO and I worked together about 12 or so years ago when I lived in Brisbane in Australia. Any Aussies in? No, of course you're not. You'd be collecting glasses somewhere. So we worked together in Australia. It's where we bought his company, which was a managed services company, and we ran that. And like the kind of older days, the technology that we ran it on and the approach we took, the needle in a haystack type thing, that's been around for 30 years nearly now. It's been around since the late 90s, that type of sales approach, and it hasn't really changed. So he came back with a new managed detection and response capability, which was then grown to a managed XDR capability. So now it's quite big in Australia, it's quite big in the US, and we're just launching it in the UK. Okay? I think that ticks all the boxes that I am legally obliged to say. There might be one more slide on the company. There's some Gartner recognition and all that type of nonsense, right? There's some of that stuff if that's important to you. However, if you're buying technology off something called the Magic Quadrant, be aware it's called the Magic Quadrant, okay? If you're making your decisions based on that, there's some magic in it. And the magic usually equates to how much marketing you're spending with those companies, okay? As you can probably tell, I'm slightly irreverent about the security industry, which is weird because I've been in it for 30 years. This is what you look like after 30 years in the security industry, by the way. Yeah, it's a cross between Jeff Goldblum and Rolf Harris, essentially. I understand. I get it. So, shall we get on to the 5 strategies? I'll kind of rattle through them. If anybody wants to pick me up on anything, if anybody wants to join in and have a chat, do it. Do it. It's meant to be interactive. It's boring when you sat there thinking, he keeps droning on about stuff. Get involved. I promise not to treat you as a heckler. Honestly, I promise I won't do that. No, I'm not promising I won't do that, to be quite honest. So one of the big things, and one of the strategies we use, so these are all strategies we found from working with customers, from honing this service over the past 2016, 7-8 years, over the past 7-8 years, and we've found the things that are useful for us when we go out to talk to customers. So you could go away and start implementing these strategies. Obviously, we do it with the service behind it and those bits and pieces, but the idea is to give you a view of how do we get better at spotting the stuff on the network that's been there for ages, and then it seems to be a surprise when it just pops up. That was the cameraman. I was about to shout, "Where are you going?" And then just as anybody in a comedy club gets up to walk away, I'm just on them straight away. One of the first strategies is blocking the noise and the false positives. So the idea is, if you've already invested heavily in security, you know, you've got your next gen this, your advanced that, the AI improved this. It's just like fairy liquid, isn't it? It kills 99% of all known germs dead. I want to know about the 0.1% of that stuff. But you want this stuff to do what you've paid for it to do, right? You need it to do all of that stuff. So one of the secrets and one of the strategies of being able to do this in a kind of consistent way is doing it on a quiet enough network, you know, because layer fatigue is a massive thing. It's almost like the Chicken Little. If you keep getting told the sky's falling in, you're just going to become anesthetized to it, aren't you? You're always going to, oh, here's another alert, here's another false positive, here's another, I'm being pinged from this IP address. I don't need to spend thousands and thousands and thousands on a managed service for them to tell me what I can see from my syslog service if I could just be asked to go and have a look, to be quite honest, right? But these people are churning this stuff out and churning this stuff out and making you guys think that that's the norm. You should accept that stuff. You should take because they've spent a load of marketing in this, they've got venture capital, they must be good, they've spent a load of marketing, you should be doing this stuff. But the secret really is if you can quieten your network down, if you can get the external and the perimeter stuff, and you can actually build that kind of hard outer shell. Now, I know somebody will probably say, perimeterless. It's not really perimeterless, is it? It really isn't. I know we operate in different environments, and I know we have different ways of working, but it's still the same thing, right? Cloud is still somebody else's server. Cloud is still the kind of VMware stuff back in the day, right? You know, it's still somebody else managing it for you. It's still, so nothing's really changing there. And if you start thinking it's an old adage, whether you're thinking of it as a house and how you protect your house, or whether you're thinking of it as layers of an onion, of what you're peeling back to get to the interesting bit in the middle. By the way, do you know why it's called layers of the onion? Anybody want to give me a guess of why we refer to it as layers of the onion? No, it's because that when you peel it back to add more security technology, you start crying. Because it just costs so much money to do. That's why it is. Probably isn't. So the second strategy is you need a post-breach strategy for detecting malware. And what do I mean by this? Because you'll go, well, we've got AV. I was on a call the other day, and somebody was talking, and it was with a government department, and they were talking about their protection and their sheep dip, and they were talking in terms of, well, we've got the AV, so we should kind of be golden, right? But as we all know, not all the AV is created equal, right? So you need to know what you're going to do when you spot malware. This is not saying you've been breached, let's do something about it, but you need to make sure that your ability to detect the malware is there across the entire network. So it's not just, let's stick it on the endpoints, we're golden, or let's stick it on the servers, we're golden. It's having it across all the different channels that can potentially bring in that type of malware. So even if you've got some network detection, network capabilities, you know, if the attack is encrypted, it's landing on your network, it's landing on your endpoint, right? It's exploding on your endpoint. You've not got anything to protect you from that until it gets to the end bit. So you need to be able to look at all of those avenues, whether it's the email side of things, whether it's the IDS, retrospection. Everybody know what retrospection is? Yeah. Retrospection is waking up the morning after you've had a night full on the ale and thinking, oh no, I didn't do that today. It is being able to look back. It's one of the use cases for logs, right? So I'll talk about kind of logs and logs not being the panacea for spotting needles in haystacks and stuff like that. But one of the great use cases is retrospection, being able to go back and replay it. If you're recording all the packets that are going across your network, being able to go back and replay that like a digital video recorder. If people, I'm looking around the audience, yeah, there's quite a few old people like me, they'll remember what video recorders were. Yeah. Who had a Betamax video recorder? Yes. They're the people that were in the trenches. Betamax, none of this VHS nonsense. I'll do this, by the way, I'll go off on a tangent. Some of you may like it, some of you may not. I'm still going to do it, to be quite honest. But you need to not only look at the email, you need to be able to look at your OT, you need to be able to look at your mobile. So everything that is part of that threat attack surface, you need to be able to cover that, and cover it in such a way that you are trusting the telemetry that you're getting from it. So you need to be able, from a post-breach malware strategy, to be able to have that covered. Now, I was talking to somebody earlier on. Budgets may not stretch to that. I get that budgets may not stretch to that, but do it in a kind of percentage way then. If you've only got X number of pounds, then, you know, and you've got mobiles, you've got desktops, you've got your servers, you want some bots, spread it around, look at it as a risk-based decision, look at it as a risk appetite side of things, you know. What's the best bang for that money that I've got? Don't just put all your eggs in one basket as well, if you can. Look at different opportunities and different options. And nail the vendors to the floor as well. Baby needs new shoes, right? Vendors will give you a deal. Don't wait till the end of quarter. Vendors, nail them to the floor. I've found if you go and talk to the sales guys, they say, oh yeah, I don't know if we can do that. I'm just going to ask my boss. It's no different than the 70s going in and trying to buy a car, right? It's just the same thing. Make them work for their bonuses. And they do get some bonuses as well, by the way. You then need some kind of strategy for detecting human adversaries, right? So how we do this is we do this using deceptions and deception technologies. Anybody else use, show of hands, you don't need to shout out. Anybody else have deceptions on their network? Yeah, a couple, not many. Do we know how long Honeynets, honeypots, all that have been about? We know how long they've been about, right since the mid-90s, Lance Spitzner, all that type of stuff. It's not new. None of this technology is new, but we've never found a really good use case for it where we can put it on a network and it actually give us some valuable information. For us, when we do it and when we stick it on, it helps us catch red teams quite regularly. If you want to catch red teams moving across your network, deceptions is one of the best things for it. And it really pisses off the red team as well. That's just an added bonus that nobody ever tells you before, right? It really just get right under their skin. And the trick to it is making it look like an elusive layer. I know there's a product called Elusive, but making it look like an elusive layer over your network. Not making it stand out. If you've got all your decoys going to one server, then people can spot that type of stuff, right? If that's got open shares and database admin and that, people know that stuff. So make sure you're spreading it about your network. We use it as a combination of breadcrumbs and tags and then the actual decoys themselves. So the breadcrumbs or little things would spread over the network that would give an attacker an idea that, oh, hey, I need to go here. That's the next link in my chain as I'm laterally moving across the network. The tags allow us, if we put tags on different types of documents, whether it be documents or database or admin type thing, then the tags, it's just like a reverse DNS lookup. So that will come back to us and we'll know somebody's touching something that they shouldn't be touched to get them to the decoy. So it takes a while to do, but it's generally worth it, especially if the insider threat or that lateral movement is part of your worry and part of your threat attack surface. Whether it could be, it could not. I remember, one second. I remember during my days with the MOD, NCSC, or CSG as they were then. You remember CSG? Yes, the good old class consultant days before they become NCSC and just seem to churn out infographics. So they used to give really good advice. They still do, but it's all like in cartoony style. And they used to tell us that 1% of your staff will go bad at some point. Whether maliciously or not, they will go bad. So that's what they used to work on. Next strategy. You need to develop some kind of forensic capability. So you've got that evidence preservation and the incident response. So again, we do this through our network forensics type of tool from a metadata. So, but we also do, and I'll come on to it in a little bit, we also do full packet capture as well. But we're tying in EDR as well. So it's not just one story. And again, I'll come back to logs. Here's where the logs is a great use case. So the great use case for logs is when you're trying to do that as evidence preservation and be able to retrospectively look at what's going on. You also need some kind of external reference to this as well. So it's not just all the stuff internal, it's what's going on outside. Who's targeting, what's on the rise, what's not on the rise. So you need some good, decent threat intel, however or wherever you get that from. There's loads of providers out there, whether you're doing your own stuff, whether you're subscribing to something else, but it needs to be relevant to you guys because a lot of threat intel out there just isn't relevant to people. That's why, again, like deceptions, it hasn't kind of taken off, because it's not relevant. It's too complex to do. And you guys have your day jobs to do as well without having to be experts in threat intel or forensics or incident response or all of those bits and pieces. But if you're dipping into those things, then these are the type of strategies that can get you a head start, right? Without having to spend gazillions to find out that the gazillions you spent was wasted money. I wonder why I've never been a sales guy, to be quite honest. Could you imagine? Because I just keep telling people, don't buy stuff. Don't buy stuff. There's stuff you can do internally. I'm obviously here to sell stuff as well, right? Yeah, and that's not drugs either, by the way, just in case you're wondering about the accent. It might be drugs. So the final, one of the finals, when all else fails. When all else fails, it's this assume breach mentality. We've all heard of assume breach, right? It sounds pretty sensible when you think about it. We're all in the business of paranoia. Security is the business of paranoia. You look at things differently. When you're in security, you look at things differently. You look at risk differently. You look at the sideways angle of it, You become your family's IT department as well. So it's weird that it just seems that we're... And I can tell you, there's no amount of therapy in the world that can prepare you for seeing your dad's browsing history. There really isn't. I don't know whether to be shocked or impressed, I'll be quite honest with you. But yeah, so a lot of this comes from the threat hunting side. Hands up, any threat hunters in? No? Good. So I can tell you stuff and you'll go, yeah, that sounds all right, yeah. For me, it's like a dark art, threat hunting, right? It's just so complex and so mystifying to me. Maybe it might be because I'm stupid, but it's so mystifying to me of what these people do and how they do it. A high degree of it is automation. So if you're looking at the maturity index, so there's a threat maturity index from 0 to 4, I think it is. And 4 means that you're threat hunting with the highest maturity. It means there's a lot of automation built in there. So you're looking for stuff from a high degree of automation. So whatever your device is for capturing these packets and bringing them in and looking at it, if you can build in a high degree of automation, map that to something like the MITRE ATT&CK framework to understand of the tools, techniques, and processes that people are using to get in your network, then you're halfway there. That's a lot of the indicators of compromise, right? A lot of the MD5 hashes, a lot of that stuff. You're going out, you're looking for that. You're looking for all those bits and pieces. The proactive bit is the bit that does amaze me, though. So this is the known unknowns, the unknown unknowns, all of that type of stuff, the absence of certain things on your network, the increase of certain things on your network. You know, if you've got a 10,000 endpoint network and in your startup menu, you know, you load these apps in your startup menu, and then one day, 4 of them load up 3 new apps. And you think, where did these come from? You need the capability to be able to spot that. These are what threat hunters thrive on. These are what threat hunters look for. Normally, the solitary people, I'll be quite honest with you, they're not good in social interactions, and they're best kept in darkened rooms. But they're worth the weight in gold if you get somebody who can do it. Again, there's a lot of great threat hunting platforms and that out there. There's a lot of great information. One of the great platforms uses the diamond model. Are we aware of the diamond model in threat hunting about how you classify the threats and what you're looking for? Give that a Google, because time's running out for me. Give that a Google. It's worth just genning up on that. It's even for an ignoramus like me, it's really interesting. How do we put all this together? This is just a basic architecture. It's not meant to be representative of your network or anything like that, but it's just a basic architecture. You've got some cloud, you've got internet, you've got internal systems. I'm going to quickly run through this and build it because my time is running out. Let me get to the end. So how we do it is we overlay our technology stack on everything across the network. It doesn't matter if you've already got this technology. It doesn't matter if you spent gazillions on other products. We would bring all this in because it's important to us to have our telemetry that we're able to bring back. But the types of things to give you these 5 strategies and to give you this coverage across the network where you've got better chance of spotting people, you know, so I think I mentioned it on possibly or to people talking outside, 6 months average dwell time on the network when somebody's found a point of compromise to when data's been exfiltrated. If you pick any of the attacks that you want, all of those attacks have spent millions on security, millions on MSSPs, and millions on this, that, and the other. I think the one thing they're not really doing is they're not trying to make it work for them. They're just taking what comes out the box from that MSSP, which is great for when you get started, but there has to be a maturity in it. So the types of things that we look at and the types of things that network detection, endpoint detection, full packet inspection. We have a cloud security bit. Intel, we have our own Intel, 300 different Intel feeds. The deceptions, as I mentioned to you before. Recon, deep and dark web recon, yeah? So it's not just a place where you can buy guns and drugs and all other stuff. Have you read The Silk Road? Go and read, American Kingpin, wasn't it? It was American Kingpin. Go and read that. It's a wonderful story about the dark web and how it got started, and one of the Dread Pirate Roberts, one of the initial. See, if you're not laughing, you're learning here today, aren't you? I'm giving you book recommendations as well. Who knew a Scouser could know what a book was? Or could read, yeah, you hang on there, we'll come back to you in a second. I can read, don't you worry about that. I've got your number. And then all of that comes back into a central console. Let me just quickly, I want to map the kind of progression of an attack and show you how all of these fit in with that. Again, I'm going to quickly scan through it. So from an attack point of view, I think it's still about 90, somebody may keep me honest on the stats, there's loads of different stats, most of them are made up by people like me, but I think it's about 95% of all attacks still come in via some kind of phishing link, right? Some kind of, click this link, do this, and then we get exasperated when people do it. The links are built to be clicked, by the way. If you're a CISO and you get I think somebody spoke about culture earlier on. If you're a CISO and you get bent out of shape that one of your people are doing the thing that they should do with the thing that they should be doing it, and you're then criticizing them for it, you're the problem, not the people, okay? I heard one CISO in a call once refer to the staff he was looking after as wet sacks of meat. It's like, come on, we're better than that, right? Unless you're Manchester United supporters, I get that then. But we are better than that. We are better than that. We're better than that. And we should want better than that. So 95% still coming in via a phishing link, opening a URL, sending you to fake websites. Sarah touched on it earlier on. Microsoft bringing in 78 trillion sources of telemetry a day. That's massive, isn't it? I think 77.9 of that is Pornhub, though. I'll be quite honest with you. That's probably what those things are coming in. So as we move along, you've got the exploitation, you've got the command and control, all the stages of the kill chain from an attack point of view until you exfiltrate the data. Now, from that point when they've gained a foothold in your network and they're moving around your network to the exfiltration, on average, I think it's 197 days or something like that. And that time hasn't reduced since it was first broadcast about 6 years ago. I think that the average dwell time, it's kind of stayed the same way. So how we then overlay from a point of view of the different technologies that will help you spot that. So from an exploitation and an installation point of view, or a command and control, network detection response, or some kind of network detection, intelligence, some kind of packet capture, or some kind of EDR will help you with that at the very early stages of an attack. You can do that. And if you're building those strategies in, like I mentioned earlier on, hunting on a quiet network, that's going to help you with that strategy as well. From a brute force account, password, credential stuff, and all of that kind of stuff, you need some kind of dark web analysis. You need to know from your systems, well, the compromised accounts, is it a password that they've used, that they keep using across everything? That might be some awareness that you need to give people, and some kind of identity. So you need some kind of identity checking as well. Are they the people that they say they are? You know, have we built the right controls in there? Have we got MFA, all that type of good stuff. Kind of puts you off your stride a little bit. You know, when somebody gets up and walks out halfway through what you're going to say, kind of puts you off your stride. Mainly because I have to stop myself in insulting him when he got up to walk away. That's really what it is. So from the kind of whole reconnaissance and the attack side of things, the clock's over that bit. So you got, again, deceptions. When people are on your network moving laterally east to west, you need to be able to capture them. You need to be able to see them. You're going to be lucky if you see it in a log, by the way. You're going to be lucky if you see that in a log. They're going to have to be really, really noisy for you to see that in a log. Throwing up PowerShell, opening up things that they wouldn't normally do, and really going at it. You're going to have to get some kind of real junior, inexperienced hacker to spot that kind of thing in a log. That's where you do need the deceptions. And the packets for the evidence side of things, for the retrospection. And also the EDR, because if they bypassed all of these controls and they're on your endpoint, you need a way of detecting that. You need a way of stopping it. You need a way of containing it. And then the exfiltration, again, recon. What do people know about me or know about my company, and what are they selling on the deep and dark web, you know? So, and also as well, check that recon stuff. So check the information people will be giving you, because if it's stale information, if it's 9 months old, 2 years old, or stuff like that, and people are trying to sell you breach passwords from back then, probably those people have moved on. You would hope that they've changed their passwords by then, you know? So look at the quality of the information. I think we're more or less there. This is a, if you want to see this and you want to see a demo, this is a rolling video, but if you want to see this, a bit Minority Report, right? Can we get an ooh for the ooh? Okay, you can do better than that, people. Can we get an ooh? Ooh. Okay, you can't do better than that. Well done, you. So this just, it's a bit of a video, runs through it. If you want to see it, I can show you it. We've got the biggest telly in the room. Imagine that, a Scouser managed to get the biggest telly in the room to put the stuff on. So come by, we'll have a chat. And I promise, if you do come by and have a chat, by the way, I promise to leave you alone with the comedy later on. I promise you will not, I will not focus on even no matter what kind of hairstyle you've got, I will leave you alone. I promise that. I kind of just, there probably isn't any questions. Are there any questions really quickly? I'll take any general knowledge. I'll take science questions as well. I'm here for Brian Cox like you are. We're just killing time till Brian gets here. I get that. I understand it. I've already told my wife, if me and Brian hit her off, she's packing the bags and she's off. Absolutely my man crush. I've got 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. I'm going to finish on time as well. How great is that? If you want to catch us afterwards, there's me or there's Ollie. Ollie's sat at the back there. Come and see us. If you've got any questions, if you want to chat, if you want to come and see us, then do that. Go and get some lunch. You guys have been amazing. Thank you.